They called him Billy the Kid, a boy with ice in his veins and a revolver on his hip. Some say he killed 21 men before he turned 21. Others claim he was just a child trapped in a violent world. But one thing is certain, his name echoed fear across the dusty streets of New Mexico. This is the true story behind America's most famous teenage outlaw, the legend who refused to die. 1. The making of an outlaw. Henry McCarty was born on November 23, 1859 in New York City. His father was gone before he could remember, and his mother, Catherine, moved him and his brother west, chasing the hope of a better life. They settled in Indiana, then Kansas, and finally Silver City, New Mexico. But the Wild West was no place for dreams. By age 14, Henry lost his mother to tuberculosis. Alone and desperate, he drifted into trouble. His first crime was small, stealing clothes from a laundry to avoid freezing on winter nights. For that, he was thrown in jail. But the skinny boy wasn't about to rot behind bars. Within days, he slipped up the chimney and escaped into the cold New Mexico desert. That was the last time anyone called him Henry McCarty. From that moment on, he was known as the Kid. 2. Baptism by blood. The Kid became a drifter. He worked at ranches, gambled in saloons, and learned to shoot better than any man twice his age. At 16, he killed his first man, Francis Cahill, during a barroom fight in Arizona. Witnesses said the Kid was insulted and punched to the ground. When he stood up, his face was covered in blood. Without hesitation, he drew his gun and shot Cahill in the gut. Cahill died the next day. From then on, the Kid was branded a murderer, a wanted man with a bounty on his head. But to many, he was still just a boy with a baby face and laughing blue eyes. They underestimated him and paid for it with their lives. The Lincoln County War. The Kid's legend was truly forged in the fires of the Lincoln County War, a brutal conflict between rival factions fighting for control of New Mexico's cattle trade. In 1878, the Kid joined the Regulators, a vigilante group seeking revenge for the murder of their employer, John Tunstall. Tunstall had treated Billy like a son, teaching him to read and giving him honest work. When Tunstall was gunned down by rival businessmen, backed by corrupt sheriffs, the Kid swore vengeance. The Lincoln County War exploded into chaos. Dilly and the Regulators hunted down their enemies one by one, ambushing them along dusty trails and killing them in broad daylight. The Kid was fearless, charging into gunfights with a revolver in each hand, his eyes blazing with fury. Stories spread that he could shoot a man dead while riding full gallop, never missing a shot. The most infamous battle came during the 5-day Battle of Lincoln in July 1878. Trapped inside McSween's house, the Kid and his gang fought off hundreds of men led by Sheriff Pepin. As the house burned around him, the Kid burst out the back door, revolver blazing, killing Bob Beckwith as he escaped into the night. When the smoke cleared, the war was over. Most of the Kid's friends were dead. The authorities branded him a ruthless murderer. But to poor ranchers and Mexican families, Billy was a hero who stood against powerful men. 4. The Outlaw King. For the next 2 years, the Kid lived as a fugitive, hiding in the mountains, rustling cattle, and visiting old friends in Mexican villages where he was welcomed with open arms. Women loved him. Children adored him. To them, he was a smiling boy who danced, sang Spanish ballads, and told funny stories. But the law kept closing in. Governor Lew Wallace offered him a pardon if he testified against his enemies. The Kid agreed and met with Wallace in secret. But after testifying, the pardon never came. Betrayed and hunted, he returned to outlaw life. The newspapers called him a monster, Billy the Kid, the scourge of the Southwest. But in truth, he was a young man trapped by fate, living day to day with a pistol as his only friend. capture, and escape. In December 1880, Sheriff Pat Garrett tracked the kid to Fort Sumner. Surrounded by deputies, the kid was arrested without a fight. He was sentenced to hang for murder on May 13, 1881, but the kid wasn't ready to die. On April 28, while guarded inside the Lincoln County Courthouse, he pulled off his greatest escape. Slipping his wrist from the shackles, he ambushed Deputy James Bell, shooting him dead as he ran for help. Then Billy seized a shotgun and waited upstairs for Deputy Bob Ollinger. As Ollinger returned with rifles to kill the kid, Billy leaned out the window and fired both barrels into his chest, killing him instantly. Billy the Kid rode out of Lincoln singing and laughing under the sun. He was free again, but not for long. The last stand. Sheriff Pat Garrett refused to let the kid slip away. On July 14, 1881, Garrett learned Billy was hiding out at Pete Maxwell's ranch in Fort Sumner. At midnight, Garrett crept into Maxwell's dark bedroom. Suddenly, the kid entered the room, unaware of Garrett's presence. He saw a shadowy figure in the dark and spoke in Spanish. Inez, who is it? Without a word, Garrett raised his revolver and fired. The bullet struck the kid in the chest, just above the heart. He fell to the floor, gasping, dead within seconds. The boy who killed men with fearless ease died without ever drawing his gun. The legend lives on. Billy the Kid was buried the next day in Fort Sumner's cemetery. He was just 21 years old. Some say he killed 21 men, one for each year of his life. Historians believe the true number was closer to 9, but facts didn't matter. Stories of the kid spread like wildfire. The boy outlaw who laughed at death, danced with Mexican girls, and faced the world with fearless blue eyes. For decades, rumors claimed he survived that night, escaped to Texas, and lived to old age under a false name. In the end, it didn't matter whether he lived or died. Billy the Kid had become a legend, an immortal spirit of the Wild West, America's eternal young gunslinger. His life was short, violent, and tragic. But the legend of Billy the Kid still rides with the desert winds, whispering stories of a fearless boy who fought against fate with nothing but a six-shooter and a grin. Subscribe for more stories of the Wild West's outlaws, gunfights, and hidden truths that shaped America's darkest legends.